Rich was energy, man. You get energy just riding around with Rich in the car, man, because it's like everywhere he goes, they know him. And there'll never be another Rich Porter, man. Bottom line, he was original, man.
If you're familiar with the 2002 Hollywood blockbuster film Paid in Full, then you're already familiar with Money Mitch. And if you're not, where have you been? Money Mitch is based on the life of infamous Harlem street legend turned cultural icon Rich Porter, portrayed by Mekhi Phifer in the movie. Directed and produced by Dame Dash, Paid in Full is arguably one of the best hood movies to date in my opinion, and is rated in most people's top 5 next to other classics, such as Boys in the Hood and Belly. So if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check it out. On this episode of Off the Record, we'll be highlighting 7 facts you didn't know about Rich Porter. Through interviews and archival footage, the documentary sheds light on Rich's larger-than-life persona, as well as the criminal activities that eventually led to his downfall. You'll discover how much money he was making at the height of his reign, how old he was when he bought his first car, and the mysterious connect who gave him 30 kilos to help him save his little brother. Find out all this and much more on this episode of Off the Record. I'm your host, Aaron, for Trap Transition. Let's run it up.
Kid, a good person, man. Look out for her, look out for a brother. I don't see nobody can have nothing bad to say about him.
My big brother, but we only 11 months apart.
Kid was original, man. A young dude with his motivation, his everything, man.
Richard Porter was born on July 26, 1965 to mother Velma Porter. He was the oldest of 3 siblings, including sister Patricia and brother Donnell. The family resided in the Sugar Hill section of the west side of Harlem, specifically at 146th and Convent. Despite being separated, both his mother and father played a role in his life. Rich, as he was commonly known, had a passion for making money from a young age. At the age of 9, he began earning money by bagging groceries and selling newspapers. Growing up in Harlem during the height of the heroin era, the street culture was filled with fine gold jewelry, exotic cars, mink coats, and other lavish items that further fueled Rich's desire to get paid.
Last hope, Richard Porter. Call Mama Dude, call Miss Porter. Because Miss Porter, granted, was hip. She was slick. She came from the street. We knew Miss Porter was ride or die.
As you can see from the parking lot, there are a lot of people looking inside Alexander's this afternoon.
According to one of his childhood friends, Rich had a memorable experience when they visited Alexander Shopping Center in the Bronx with the intention of stealing clothes. Rich and his 4 friends were caught in the act by a security guard. Fortunately, due to their age, the police were not called. Instead, the mall manager decided to contact their parents. However, the rest of Rich's friends couldn't call their parents because they were afraid of getting into too much trouble. Therefore, they decided to call Rich's mother Velma to come and pick them up since she was considered most hip. Although she was reluctant, she eventually made her way down to the Bronx to pick them all up. But once they were outside the department store, she started to beat Rich with a belt in front of his friends. This made for an amusing story that they never let Rich live down.
All right, you know what, security? Let all them look and come on with me. So as soon as we get outside, we jump out the car with the belt. She said, y'all, get your ass on the highway, the bus. I don't care how you're getting home. You're out of here. But Rich, waka, where Rich ass out. Now, granted, we on the sideline crying. We didn't let Rich live that down for the longest.
Selling newspapers, which enables him to get more money, getting into marijuana, selling joints.
And this man Ellison, I remember when they first started out saying they used to be on 47th Street, 46th. They used to run around selling sage and eggs together,
At the age of 12, Rich turned to hustling, which coincidentally was the same year his younger brother Donnell was born. He learned how to navigate the streets from a guy named Ellison, whose operation was based off of 146 and Amsterdam Ave. Together they produced a substance made of sage and eggs that they marketed as hash to unsuspecting teenagers who didn't know any better. During that time, Rich also sold marijuana joints for $1 each. Unfortunately, not long after they started working together, Rich's mentor to the Came Ellison was arrested and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Between the ages of 13 and 14, Rich was fully devoted to selling heroin to the streets. His mother Velma had started using the same drug herself and was reported to be a functional user by Rich's sister Patricia.
They had that already. They had that way back deep in the early 80s, B. Poe, Rich, A, or whatever, whoever was rolling with them. And it was like that, I'm saying.
A nigga saying, beat me in 1981, call my cell. That shit is crazy right now.
Rich became well known in his hometown of Harlem due to his extravagant style, which included owning gold jewelry and custom-made designer clothes. Rumor had it that Rich never wore the same outfit twice, which only added to his mystique. Locals started calling him Richie Rich or Money Rich. Notably, Rich's love for cars started at an early age. At the age of 16, he purchased his first car, a brand new black BMW 528e. Later on, he acquired luxurious cars that were equipped with car phones, which were ahead of their time.
Small businessmen have taken to cellular phones like ducks to water. For Los Angeles real estate salesman Tom Carnahan, the car phone is a dream come true.
During his criminal career, it's been alleged that he owned upwards to 40 cars.
When I seen him, I'm 11 years old, I said, "Oh, you better get off that man's car." He said, "Shorty, what you talking about?" I said, "That's a BMW. You don't want to get caught, on nobody's car." He looked at me and laughed, and when I turned around, he was standing on it like it was nothing. I'm 11 years old. And I said, "Oh, that man gonna get you, man. I ain't messing with y'all." I turned, and this man is in the car, this guy's in the car with the ignition turned on. My mouth is wide open. I know he can't be no older than 14, 15 at the most, in a car that costs at least $30,000. He said, "Can I be in the car now?" And I just started, I just was sitting there looking. Him and his man thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world.
According to history, L.A. was rich man at first. He got murdered. From somewhere you hear like these cats was looking for Rich, and Rich kept the gun on him.
After Ellison was sent to prison, Rich began hustling with Donald Johnson, known in the streets as L.A., who was considered a street superstar and had run with the likes of Craigo and Doo-Wop. Rich in LA set up shop all over Harlem, and money was coming in fast, but jealousy and hatred soon followed. According to reports, a man named Roz broke into LA's mother's house looking for valuable items. Rich in LA later encountered Roz outside an Italian restaurant, and then an altercation broke out. Roz was allegedly shot over 10 times by Rich in LA, but miraculously survived the attack. The rooftop of famous roller skating rink and disco under 155th Street Bridge in Harlem was LA's favorite spot. However, after Roz survived, Rich knew they could be sitting targets. Unfortunately, Rich was right. LA was shot multiple times outside the front of the venue and was later pronounced dead at the hospital. If you want us to do an off-the-record episode on LA, let us know in the comment section.
Somewhere you hear like these cats was looking for Rich, and Rich kept the gun on him. He wound up getting into a shootout. It might have been them, who knows? But at the end of the day, Rich wasn't going out like the sucker, so he kept a gun on him. He kept a vest on him.
After LA died, Rich took over LA's coke spots that they shared, resulting in a significant increase in his earnings. Tragedy struck when LA passed away, leaving Rich to navigate the dangerous drug world on his own. Months after LA's death, Rich was driving his Wagoneer down 108th Street after getting it washed at a nearby car wash on 109th between Columbus and Amsterdam. Suddenly, he was ambushed in the hail of gunfire, but managed to escape the scene unharmed, despite being chased by a foot cop who had heard the gunshots. However, Rich was later apprehended due to traffic congestion in the area, while the gunman managed to escape through the park. The incident led to Rich's arrest, and he was subsequently charged and convicted for wearing a bulletproof vest, possessing a deadly weapon, and the prior charge of possession of a controlled substance already hanging over his head. The long arm of the law had caught up with him, and he was sentenced to 18 months and served just 1 year.
Junior, I haven't seen him in I don't know how long. And he used to come in here and buy cars for cash.
He was changing cars like they changed sneakers,
Saw a car on the floor, he liked it, had the cash, buy the car.
Niggas was getting it, man.
Upon his release from prison, he teamed up with AZ Faison and Alpo Martinez. At the time of Rich's incarceration, childhood friend AZ was making about $40K a week, distributing cocaine. So naturally, once Rich was released with his own level of respect in Harlem, it didn't take long for the trio to take complete control of the drug game in the area. AZ was the businessman, Rich was the connection to the streets, and Alpo was the muscle. Local residents state Porter and Martinez were in fact the first owners of convertible BMWs in Harlem, and also credit Rich as the innovator of reclining their seat all the way back while driving, which has now become a global trend throughout hip-hop culture. Rich's love for luxury cars was well known, and he kept the garage in Manhattan filled with dozens of luxury cars. In fact, Rich and Alpo famously purchased matching Porsche 944 turbos, a burgundy one for Porter and a silver one for Martinez, from a car dealership with $75K in cash in a brown paper bag. They would often go to the dealership a year before they came out and pay the salesperson $20K to secure the car, and not mention the cash purchase to the IRS. The trio were local superstars within their own right. The police reported Rich was making upwards of $50K per week in the height of his career.
Alpo walked in the restaurant with this gun. I'm like, wow, I ain't seen this dude in a minute.
I was just standing with this man, just as close as I am standing here, sitting here with you, bro.
He said, yo, I gotta go, I'll be right back. And he walked down to his death, bro.
Porter's only brother, 12-year-old Donnell, was kidnapped by his uncle Johnny and Clarence Preacher Heatley, who demanded a ransom of $500,000 for his safe return. The family was warned not to involve the police, and the ransom was later lowered to $350,000. They directed the family to a men's restroom at a nearby McDonald's on West 125th Street in Broadway, where they found Donnell's finger, 2 rings gifted by his older brother Rich, and an audio cassette tape. According to the police, the tape contained audio recordings of Donnell hysterically pleading with Rich to pay the ransom. Richard Fritz Simmons, known as the Consignment King of Harlem, supplied Rich with 30 kilos of cocaine on consignment to help him get his little brother back. Fritz and Porter had a good business relationship, and Fritz assumed Rich was good for it because he always was on time and neat with his money.
So damn neat with your money. Come on, man, you know me, man. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Uncle Johnny and the rest of the family were aware that Rich got the kilos and planned to use the profit to pay off the ransom and retrieve Donnell. However, the kidnappers did not receive the money. Less than a month after his brother's kidnapping, Rich was last seen driving his 1989 black Nissan Coupe through Harlem. His body was found the next day abandoned in some bushes on Orchard Beach Park, located in the city island of the Bronx. He had suffered several bullet wounds to the head and chest, and had $2,239 in cash stuffed in his pockets. He was murdered in cold blood by his business partner Alpo Martinez, and Alpo's accomplice Big Head Gary. Alpo claimed that Rich routinely overcharged him for drugs and lied about the price, among other grievances, which was the cause of murdering his once good friend. This documentary provides a fascinating insight in the life of Rich Porter during his criminal career, shedding light on his luxurious lifestyle and high-stake activities in Harlem. However, the impact of his actions ended with arrest, imprisonment, and untimely death. It is clear that his legacy continues to shape the community he was a part of. From his trend-setting style and entrepreneurial spirit, his influence can still be felt today. As we reflect on this story, it's important to recognize the consequences of his actions and the harm they may have caused to those around him. Yet, we also cannot overlook the cultural impact that he had on his community and the world beyond. Rich Porter is survived by his sister Pat and his children. Rest in peace. If you want us to do an off-the-record episode on Richard Simmons, hit us up in the comments. I'm your host, Aaron, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content. From all of us at Trap Transition, thanks for watching. Peace.